solid ground. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunati Ravanatadi Jamunati Ravanatadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunati Ravanatari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariba Jagacharya Siddhadashisham, His Divine Grace Abhaya Children, Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON BBT Founder Charge, Jagaguru, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Guru Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Nam Char Srila Vidas Thakur Ki, Et Prem Shikoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar, Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Say Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki, Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mathura Dham Ki, Dwarka Dham Ki, Navadi Dham Ki, Jagannath Dham Ki, Jamuna Maya Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Samveda Bhaktivinda Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Sri Radha Giridhari Ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki, Go Premanande. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to Divine Lotus Sita, Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. So we are on, and I don't see a book, so I'll sort it out here. But 6th canto, chapter 9, text 33, correct? Correct. All righty. Serendipity. And it's the battle between Britasura and Lord Indra, which is explained in two different ways. In the Rig Veda, and we'll talk about that in a minute, Indra's the hero. And in the Bhagavatam, Britasura is the hero. And what does that mean for us? Well, we'll get there. What is this? We have a technical glitch here. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. But having gone through the effort here, yes, somehow or other, it keeps reverting back to Bhagavad Gita. This thing is slowly dying. Let's try one more time. Hope springs eternal. And thus a living entity stays in this material world for time immemorial. Yeah, we're going to have to go with that because it keeps bouncing back to Bhagavad Gita for some strange reason. You got a book? All righty. Thank you very much. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Sudamo Bhagate Dhamraganadi Bisaha Kalandasa Dashamesha Parana Konadodita Narana Namaskritchandanam Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nastapreshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So, we are not chanting the verse today, and I don't think it's written on the board. Yeah, I'm going to get there. Because it's a long, long verse. Packed, the demigods, the devas have just busted out with ecstasy and can't control themselves. Can't contain themselves. They can control themselves, but they can't contain it. So there's a lot in this verse. So I guess I'm going to read the English translation, and then you can repeat after me. First I'll say, then you say. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Narayan, O Vasudeva, original person, O most exalted person, supreme experience, welfare personified. O supreme benediction, supremely merciful and changeless. O support of the cosmic manifestation, sole proprietor of all planetary systems, master of everything, and husband of the goddess of fortune. Your lordship is realized by the topmost sannyasis who wander about the world to preach Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in samadhi through bhakti yoga. Because their minds are concentrated upon you, they can receive the conception of your personality in their fully purified hearts. When the darkness in their hearts is completely eradicated and you are revealed to them, the transcendental bliss they enjoy is the transcendental form of your lordship. No one but such persons can realize you. Therefore, we simply offer you our respectful obeisances. And just because it's so much glorification of Krishna, I'm going to say, you say, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Narayan, O Vasudev, original person, O most exalted person, supreme experience, welfare personified, O supreme benediction, supremely merciful and changeless, O support of the cosmic manifestation, sole proprietor of all planetary systems, master of everything, and husband of the goddess of fortune. Your lordship is realized by the topmost sannyasis who wander about the world to preach Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in samadhi through bhakti yoga. Because their minds are concentrated upon you, they can receive the conception of your personality in their fully purified hearts. When the darkness in their hearts is completely eradicated and you are revealed to them, the transcendental bliss they enjoy is the transcendental form of your lordship. No one but such persons can realize you. Therefore, we simply offer you our respectful obeisances. And the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has numerous transcendental names pertaining to different grades of revelation to various grades of devotees and transcendentalists. When he is realized in his impersonal form, he is called the Supreme Brahman. When realized as the Paramatma, he is called Antaryami. And when he expands himself into different forms for material creation, he is called Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Karanodakshaya Vishnu. When he is realized as Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, the Chaturvyuha, who are beyond the three forms of Vishnu, he is the Vaikuntha Narayan. Above realization of Narayan is the realization of Baladev, and above that is realization of Krishna. All the realizations are possible when one engages fully in devotional service. The covered core of one's heart is then completely open to receiving and understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various forms. Om Gena Tamarandasya Gyana Gena Salakaya Jakshushumilitangena Tazarishi Gurave Namaha. So as I was saying earlier, because the question is, smart people read the Vedas. Many smart people read the Vedas. Why don't they all become pure devotees of Krishna? And the fact of the matter is, it is not so cheap. Krishna is not easily revealed. That's one of Krishna's qualities, that he's not so easy. I mean, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes it very easy in this age. But Like the Mohini Murti. The Devas got what they wanted, and the demons got, well, thought they were going to get what they wanted. So, because I was talking to Radhikaraman Prabhu in Boise, and he was saying that if you read the Rig Veda, which is about Lord Indra, Indra's the hero. Kills the demon, gets the demigods back their heavenly kingdom, and Kijai. There's an Ekadasi book that used to float around here. And it was all, you observe Ekadasi, and there's all stories about the benefits of observing Ekadasi. But they were all, some yogi gets attracted to someone, falls down, practices Ekadasi, gets his Shakti back, and Jai. King loses his kingdom, practices Ekadasi, gets his kingdom back, Kijai. Okay. And here we see, if you look at it, Britasura, he dies. Took a year to chop off his head, by the way, with this sword of the bones of, Dadichi. So it would appear that he lost. So it all depends who won, who lost. We have to consider what the aim is. If the aim is to become comfortable in this world, then okay, you'll see one thing out of the Vedas. There's a verse in the second canto, and it's a description of all the, if you worship this demigod, you can get this. It's a whole shopping list. It's the Amazon, whatever you want, just click on this. Of course, you've got to perform the tapasya, but you want good health, you want a beautiful wife, you want to become famous. It's all there. But Prabhupada tells the story of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. I heard Prabhupada personally tell this. And he was traveling somewhere through the forest, and he heard some people laughing. And he went off the forest path, and it was ghosts having some kind of Bruja festival, when they have some kind of ghost festival. And they gave him a bag of food to take home with him. When he took it home and he opened the bag, it was full of all nasty things. It had transformed itself. So what do we walk away with? That's the human intelligence at the end of the day. What do you walk away with? The one who dies with the most toys wins? No. He dies. Who knows where he goes? Prabhupada mentions, and we'll say his name, Nehru, was the leader of the, the non-allied nations in so many things. And he became a dog in the Swedish embassy, Prabhupada said, in his next life. Some astrologer predicted that. So what is the use of the whole thing? One has to just be a little intelligent. So that's one preface. Because we're going to bounce around a bit because there's a lot in this. If we read this, just imagine for a moment, they have a saying, been down so long looks like up to me. People are so beaten down in the age of Kali. And when you actually step back and look at the thing, abortion, rampant intoxication. There's that, when Radhanath Maharaj was speaking to the directors of the Bank of England, somehow or other he was invited to speak, he made the point that he's a sannyasi, he doesn't even have a bank account, and here he is speaking to them, and he made the point that they measure the success of a nation by the gross domestic product. That means how much stuff, how many, it's developed nations and undeveloped nations. And there's a club, there's the G20, then there's the G7, there's the G this for the gross domestic product. And it means durable goods, washing machines, airplanes, computer screens. And if you're not pumping those out, you're not an advanced society. I remember, in or out, my friend, in or out. I remember going with Jayapataka Maharaj many, many years ago to visit a Bengali household farmer, devotee, in Mayapur. And it was interesting. I had a friend, a materialist, I should say an associate, before I became a devotee, and his father was a very, very wealthy man. And, he's on his third trophy wife, house tumbling down the cliff, the different tiers of his house to the private beach. I swear it is true. And he had his butler, he had his whole scene going on. And he'd made his money by car dealership. Evidently, that's a cutthroat business, I don't know. And he had an ulcer. So the butler came and brought the bone china, which we wouldn't even touch, but, bone china with the gold rim and all that stuff, And your dinner is served, sir. And he came and sat down in the ornate dining room, and they lifted off the lid of what he was eating. And it was a bowl of barley broth, not even substance, just broth, just the water, and some dry biscuits. Because he had an ulcer, he couldn't digest anything, And then I remember many years later being with Jayapataka Maharaj in Bengal. Someone can Google it. I don't know what the gross, what do you call it, the per capita income? It's one of the lowest in the world, but Bangladesh, Bengal. And we sat down for lunch. And his children were there. His wife, his first wife, was there. We had 3 or 4 banana plates. And it was a 15-course feast. And everything on that plate had grown within a mile of the guy's house. Maybe a few of the spices came from South India. But everything else grew. So, Prabhupada says, and we're not trying to go back to the medieval ages, But Prabhupada said, a little bit of land and a cow, and basically your economic problem is solved if you know how to utilize these things. So my point is that we have to think. We are conditioned. Here the devas are glorifying Krishna. What if it's true? Prabhupada said, you think you're sitting on the floor, I'm sitting in the hand of Krishna. Prabhupada gives the example of the small boy holding onto his father's hand and roaring at the tiger. And the Bengal tiger, which could eat him as a small snack item. But because he's feeling the shelter of his father. So Sudam Maharaj at the time asked Prabhupada, anyone who was at an airport, you were when Prabhupada arrived at the airport, right? Anyone else, that experience was just, the devotees took over. You'd have about, 10 madungas, easy, 20 pairs of kartals, 300, 400, 500 devotees, throwing flower petals, rose water. It was just wild. It was transcendentally wild, And Prabhupada sailing along. I remember being in LAX one time when Prabhupada arrived, and there was a big Latino policeman, And he looked at me and he said, that man be floating. It looked like Prabhupada was just floating through the airport, And it was true, And Sudam, when he got home, back to the temple, he said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, sometimes when I'm with you, I feel proud. So, lower than the straw in the street, devoid of all sense of false prestige. This is Trinadapi Sunichena. So he was saying, Prabhupada, is that all right? And Prabhupada said, the Vaishnava's pride is a different kind of thing. It's not arrogance. It's not condescending. It's nuanced. We always know that there but by the grace of my spiritual master, there but by the grace of God go I. Prabhupada said you can think that by the grace of my spiritual master, I'm no longer a fool and a rascal. I know who is who, and I know what is what. So we should remember what we're all about. Prabhupada said one time, because they always say, oh, well, it's just a dream and wishful thinking, and, you've just created some big guy in the sky who's going to solve all your problems. I'm a realist, So they say like that. So one man kept saying to Prabhupada, it's all a dream. It's all a dream. Prabhupada said, all right, let's go with that for a minute. If it's all a dream, you're having a dream, we're having a dream. It's all a dream. There's no absolute, just for argument's sake, there's no absolute reality. It's all just, when you're dead, your fertilizer, it's all over. Well, then think about that for a minute. We have a very nice dream. We're chanting, we're dancing, we're feeling like the devas here, glorifying Krishna, and feeling shelter and ecstasy and, that all the wonderful qualities. I saw out in front of a church, and Prabhupada liked that. They had that signboard in L.A. Prabhupada wanted them to put the name of the... First off, Prabhupada wanted to say, come and join. That's how confident Prabhupada was. But also the name of the title of the sermon that Sunday they put out in front of the church. So this one said, what a friend we have in Jesus. And fine, all well and good. I offer my respects to that. But I was thinking, what a friend we have in Krishna. And if you just meditate for a few minutes on the verses, the qualities of Krishna, what if it's true? What if that really is our friend? What a friend we have in Krishna. What if Krishna is real? I was on that morning walk in Detroit. Prabhupada was quiet. Chicago, actually. Prabhupada was quiet. Sometimes he would speak on a walk, sometimes he wasn't. And he was quiet. And then he turned to us all and said, I know you're all atheists, but there really is Krishna. And turned right around and kept walking, So, if it's all a dream, then we're having a great dream. We're taking prasadam, we have nice flowers, vijay. You take out a garland on Sankirtan and give it to someone, they're shocked. Even when you go to Hawaii now, Govardhan and I went to Hawaii, for my GBC service, and he was keeping me alive, traveling with me. So you don't even get a real flower garland anymore. I went there years ago with Ramaswamy, it's a whole story. But you got a real flower garland. Now it's plastic, isn't it? They get a little plant, the land of flowers, and all you can give me is a plastic. They recycle them. I've seen them. People take them up. What is that? But we've got, fresh, hopefully no cans. I saw this canned jackfruit. I threw it out. Why? We eat fresh, nice, clean things cooked in good conscience. Anybody ever work in a fast food restaurant? I did one summer. Yeah. How do they treat that food? Oh, it is nasty. The workers in there, things fall on the floor, they step on it, they don't like the customer, they spit in it. I mean, I won't even get into it, Frozen orange juice. My former father-in-law worked in the orange groves in Florida as a young man, and they sort the oranges. Everything that they can't sell becomes orange juice. If it's green, if it's covered with mold, if it's been truck driven over it, that's what they turn into orange juice. And because it's hot and they're up high, and you got to walk down all the way down the sorter, it's about 4 or 5 stories. If they have to answer the call of nature, you figure out where that goes. Right into your OJ. Yeah, of course, maybe it's a little stricter nowadays. But, I mean, you know, I don't want to get sidetracked. I have other things I want to talk about. But, you know, devotees, we take shelter of Krishna. And we have that confidence, and we have that security, and we have that sense of loving embrace. And that there's a rhyme and reason to the world. That's a huge solace. If you, I was talking, excuse me, I'm still suffering from the dust of India, the Renu. What was I going to say? Anyway, it'll come back to me. So if it's a dream, then we're having a very good dream. We're having a nice, sweet. If there is no absolute truth, there is no reality. It's, you know, whatever you think, whatever you feel, whatever, you know, live hard and die young or whatever it is. Then we're having a great dream, if you think about it. And for the materialist, that's what I was going to say. I was talking, anyway, if you want to do a college program or you want to advertise something and it's a new audience, you know, people that are not introduced to Krishna consciousness, use the word stress in the title. Stress relief. Ching! Everybody's looking. Why? What is that? I swear to you, you talk about peace of mind, stress relief, sorting out relationships. If they're all in, man, they're ready to go. You talk about the absolute truth, you talk about service, I don't have time to think about that. But you say stress, what does that indicate? They're all completely in anger. They're wound so tight. I didn't read it, but somebody sent me a summary of it, and it's called Faster. It's a book, popular at one point, a couple of years ago. New York Times bestseller. And it was talking about the pace of life. Previously, I would write you a letter. You would get it 2 weeks after I wrote it. Maybe it ticked you off. But in the course of writing and then thinking about it, finding an envelope, you calm down and you send it to me. By the time I got it, I had a month to think about it, and I kind of regret what I said, and I get a reasonable letter back from you. And so there was let's say a 1 month lag between the initial impetus and the result. Then they introduced telegraph. That shortens it up. You got it, Still, you got to read it. Still, you got to respond. Well, then they got telephone. It's right there. It's an immediate experience. Hey, but you don't have to answer the phone, right? You can buy yourself some time. But then everybody had answer machines. So they go, I left a message. How come you didn't get back? And now, you can imagine it goes on. It's tighter and tighter and tighter, shorter, like a clock. If you're winding it tighter and tighter and tighter, there comes a point that the mainspring just boing. That's pretty much what's happened to people. Now, you know what? People have to, Sunday morning, the day of rest, Sunday morning, man, you get an email from your boss or a WhatsApp message or whatever it is, Instagram, they got 1,000. It's like if you lock up your house, they're going to come in the front door, they're going to come in the window, they're going to come down the chimney, they're going to come up the basement, they're going to get you. There's no sanctuary anymore, And you're expected to respond. It's ridiculous. People are just wound so tight. So that's their nightmare, and they're afraid of death. It's frightening. You get old and wrinkled. But to speak, if you're old and don't have money, that is really rough. Your teeth are falling out, your hair, I don't need to go into it. It's pavarga, apavarga, and pavarga. So Prabhupada was making the point that, okay, there's no reality. It's all a dream. We're having a great dream. You're having a miserable dream. So Prabhupada said, even if we're wrong, we're right. You consider quality of experience. Like it talks about supreme experience, quality of experience. And if we're right, Prabhupada said, then we're really right. Talk about hitting the jackpot, back home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada said, as for you, sir, we're really, really right, and you, sir, are really, really wrong. So just by cold or simple analysis, if it's all a dream, then we've got the best dream. And what if it's true? Now, what are the caliber of people who believe that it's true? Govardhan and I were just in India, and there's many advantages, of course, just the climate of the Tirtha, of the holy dhams. But you see, its historical record is there. Did you know that Rupa Goswami was given an order by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? There are a series of letters from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the 6 Goswamis, and from the 6 Goswamis to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami says, people are coming, it's growing, I need help preaching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, okay, I'll send you Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he'll help. There's so many wonderful things. More devotees are coming. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Rupa Goswami, you've got to provide for them. Rupa Goswami, via some disciples and friends, maintained a Goshala, cow barn with 500 cows. And its purpose was simply to provide milk for the Vaishnavas, the sadhus living in Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami was instructed, as Rupa Goswami was instructed to provide the milk, Sanatana Goswami was instructed that provide rice, especially for the Bengalis. The Bengalis love rice, and that was one of the services he did. So, and we know Jiva Goswami met with Akbar. We went to Akbar's palace. I wanted Govardhan to see the Red Fort in India. I mean, you can put the White House in a corner of that thing, and it would be the horse stable. I mean, it's huge, massive. And Akbar wanted this, how did it work? I looked at the gross national product, because it's all there on Wikipedia, of the different empires, Chinese, Persian, Mughal, prevalent at the time. And it also had England and France and Germany and all this and that. And you looked at the percentage of the world production. China and India were neck and neck. China and India were like each 23 or 24%, each of them. Persia was the next big one. Germany was like 6%. France was like 3%. England was like 2%. So such a powerful, his general, and there's a reason I'm saying this. And what is the time? We need a clock. Oh, geez. Okay, well, we'll wrap this part up because there's something else I want to say. But the point is that his kingdom ran all the way from Afghanistan, from Kabul, not even, not from Kabul, all the way from Kandahar, which was named after Gandhari, Prabhupada said. All the way from Kandahar, all the way across the Bengal, and all the way down into South India. He could not conquer Marsh Prachaparuta in Orissa. That's another story. But such a powerful person. And yet he met with Jiva Goswami. He wanted to meet Jiva Goswami. He said, please come see me. You're invited to see Bill Clinton. I mean, not Bill Clinton. Who's our guy now? Biden. You're invited to see Biden. If you don't show up, they'll send a black helicopter and off you go, So Jiva Goswami's response was, I never leave Vrindavan. But if you want to meet with me, you can come here. Talk about truth to power. Akbar said, I'll come. Jiva Goswami says, well, really, there's only one king in Vrindavan. So, you can't come dressed as a king. It's just offensive. And Akbar, because of the reputation of Jiva Goswami as a great scholar and sadhu, was so renowned, he came with a small retinue. I don't know the number, but he came with a few soldiers and a few of his ministers, and he came in humble dress, disguised, The story ends just because it's blissful, and the history is there. And I mean, I've mentioned this before, but these are the caliber of people who surrender to Krishna. What to speak of Ramanujacharya, what to speak of Madhvacharya, Sankaracharya, Yamunacharya, who was a great king. These are powerful. Jiva Goswami, his Satsandarbha is still studied as one of the preeminent philosophical treatises in the world. It's right up there with Descartes, I think, therefore I am. How do we know what we know? It's the first question. How do I actually, okay, I'm conscious. I know that. I have a sense of self. You guys all might be a dream. I don't know what I can't say what but I know that I have a sense of self. And he just takes it from there. It's a whole progression. And it's studied all over the world. University of Chicago, Harvard. I was talking with Sridharananda Maharaj. They still study Jiva Goswami. Profound. And such a person surrenders to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Such a person said, you know, Prabhupada mentions here, I guess I'll swing into the other thing I wanted to say, but they believe in Krishna. And Prabhupada points out, how is it that Raghunath Das Goswami, his family, Prabhupada said, was so wealthy, they would cook one puri in a wok of ghee and distribute the whole wok to the poor. They'd cook another puri and then distribute the whole wok. That's their level of charity and opulence. Prabhupada said in the CC, who is it? The mother says, the father says, why don't you lock this boy up, chain him up? He said, I've given him a wife who's as beautiful as the goddess of heaven. You know, he's already locked up. But how is it that they show no interest? They're not attracted to material things. What are they tasting? So we have a choice which dream we're going to believe, which choice we're going to make. And, you know, I'm just a slow, what do I know about anything? How can I make a decision, you know? But then look at the caliber of the people who are surrendering to Krishna. We went to see Professor Dimmock one time. Dimmock at the University of Chicago at the time was the top Sanskrit scholar in the world. And our mission, I was with, who was that sannyasi? No, not Paribrajacharya. What was the other one? His Prabhupada servant for. Maybe it was Paribrajacharya. And so he and I, we went. And we had an appointment. We went to see him on his ornate apartment on, you know, Lakeshore Drive and overlooking Lake, whatever it is, in Chicago. We showed up at the appointed time. He was so drunk, he couldn't answer the door. He couldn't get there's a latch. You could hear him rattling around with a latch. He couldn't get it open. He was so drunk. So he said, oh, you'll have to, I'm very sorry. You have to come tomorrow. We came the next day. He was a little more sober, but, you know, people who drink, they just ooze that nasty smell, you know. It was pathetic. And later on, the guy was busted for, you know, trying to flirt with one of his students. And so what is the caliber of these people? But the standard of the people who surrender to Krishna, as glorified in this verse. Hare Krishna to you. Welcome back. And the last thing I want to say, because of the time factor, is that, well, I want to say two things, so I'll be quick. You notice Prabhupada talks about the different names according to the different levels of realization. And if you look at the verse and you look at the names used, Narayan, Vishnu, Supreme Controller, Super Soul, you don't find Yasodanandana, Gopal, Jamuna Jivana. You don't find those names. So you'll only find the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the idea that God plays, that God sports, that He will carry, you can defeat God in a wrestling match and He will carry you on His shoulders. How is that even possible? But the Vaishnavas, because Krishna likes to play, all day long. The Prabhupada tells a story about Lord Gladstone. Somebody give me a watch, because I want to go over, but not too far over. Something I can read, although I'm half blind. Yeah, it'll do. Thanks. And the story, so I'll be quick. All the different ambassadors and Bank of England, head of the Bank of London, or Bank of England, and head of the, British, the English Stock Exchange, they were all coming to meet Lord Gladstone, who was the Prime Minister. And they were saying, you got to wait, you got to wait. And the whole anteroom filled up, and they thought everybody who's important is here. All the ambassadors, all the big captains of industry, and we're all cooling our heels out here. Who's he talking to? He must be talking to the Queen. Who's higher than us? Queen Victoria. And one of them nudged open the door a little bit to see into the study of Lord Gladstone. Anyone know what he was doing? Yeah. Other than Dravida? What was he doing? Yeah, his grandson was riding on his back like a horse and pulling on his beard, go left, go right, go left. And he was relishing like anything. So Krishna, and we see here with the demigods, they're offering beautiful prayers, but they had to be put into stress first. They want something. They're realizing that only Krishna can save them. Their glorification is sincere, but they want something, So that can wear on you. Even like somebody who always calls up and asks you for money. Can I borrow your car? Can I borrow some money? Can I, can you do this? Can you do that for me? Hey, can you cover this offering for me? Oh, I got to. After a while, you don't pick. If you got caller ID, you don't answer the phone. And we all know. There's a limit. Everybody's got limits. But Krishna, he's getting petitioned all the time. Prabhupada says the burglar, the shopkeeper goes home at night, puts his head on the pillow and says, oh, jeez, did I lock the back door? Oh, Krishna, please have me lock the door so no one comes and steals. Simultaneously, someone in, whatever it is in the difficulties of life is forced to steal to maintain their family. He goes out at night saying, oh, God, please, please, I hope the grocer left his door open, please. Prabhupada says in this way, Krishna is perplexed, But Krishna likes to play. Krishna likes to sport. And we have to remember what we're about. I guess I'll end with this. Like it talks here, when the darkness in their hearts are removed, they could then realize Krishna. So that's what we're about here. Those of us that are practicing Krishna consciousness, we want to clean the heart. It's serious business. A guy said to me, well, I chanted Hare Krishna, nothing happened to me. Okay, you want to get a PhD? Just to enter into the academic arena, you got to spend, I'm not counting kindergarten, 6 years, because that just teaches you to be a human being and not a beast. 6 years elementary school, junior high, middle school, whatever they call it, the self-esteem movement. I think it's called junior. It's middle school now. 2 years, high school 2 years, so that puts you at 10. Then 4 years undergrad puts you at 14. 2 years for a master's puts you at 16. At least 2 years for a PhD puts you at 18 years. And when you get a PhD, you don't start out at the top of your game. You don't immediately go to Harvard. You're working at Podunk Community College and, writing, and you got to spend at least 4 or 5 years minimum. That's if you're a genius, to even establish yourself as respected in your field. So before you can really open your mouth and have any influence at all, you've invested, where were we at? 18 and 4 minimum? You've invested 22 years of hard work. You got to surrender to your thesis, sponsor. If you're in some kind of hard science, you got to do all the lab work for the guy, and he takes all the credit. So to become tadvidi pranipatena pariprashanena sevaya, to surrender to a spiritual master and invest, you invest 22 years seriously in chanting Hare Krishna and practicing Krishna consciousness, well, you'll realize Krishna. You'll certainly have firm conviction. So we should remember what our goal is. We should remember the benefit. We should remember those who believe in Krishna and present Krishna, the caliber of those people, and be serious. Okay, we can end there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. And we'll succeed. You'll get Krishna.